Most people spend their lives running on a treadmill, trading hours for dollars, believing that time is the currency of wealth. But let me tell you a truth that most never grasp. Time is a gift, but it's assets that build freedom. You see, the rich don't chase money hour by hour. They create systems. They grow value. They make money work for them long after their day ends. The poor, they trade time for a paycheck, thinking that working harder today will solve tomorrow's problems. Ask yourself this: do you own your life, or does your life own you? Are your hours building a legacy, or are they vanishing into someone else's dream? What if the secret to wealth isn't in working longer, but in thinking bigger, acting smarter, and building assets that outlive your effort? Today, we're going to explore the exact principles that transform your daily grind into a life of freedom. This isn't about luck. It's not about shortcuts. It's about discipline, philosophy, and making choices that your future self will thank you for. Stay with me, because by the end of this talk, you won't just understand why the rich build assets. You'll know how to start building yours today. Let me paint a picture for you. Every single minute of your life is a seed. How you plant it, nurture it, and allow it to grow determines the harvest you'll reap. Yet, most people wake up and trade their hours for dollars, as if time itself is something disposable, something you can replace. They punch a clock, fill their days with meetings, obligations, and distractions, and wonder why, after decades of work, freedom still feels out of reach. I've seen it countless times in my own life and in the lives of people I've mentored. Hours poured into activity that produced nothing lasting. They were busy, but they weren't building. The wealthy understand a different principle. They treat every minute as currency, not just as a ticking clock. They don't spend time on things that simply pass. They invest it on actions that create value, that multiply, that give them leverage long after the moment has passed. That's the difference between trading time and building assets. Let me give you a strategy that will change how you think about your day. Every morning, before the chaos begins, identify the 3 tasks that, if completed, would have the greatest impact on your long-term life. Maybe it's learning a skill that can generate income, building a relationship that could open doors, or creating something that will produce value long after you leave the room. Focus on those tasks first, before the distractions, before the urgent but unimportant things pull you away. In my own experience, when I was just starting, I would sit down with a simple list of priorities, often just 3 items, and refuse to leave the desk until those 3 were complete. Sometimes the tasks were small, but they compounded. A letter written, a call made, a step taken toward a business idea, it all added up. Time invested in value creation grows like a tree. The poor look at time as a commodity to spend. The wealthy look at time as a resource to leverage. You can't get more hours in a day, but you can change the way each hour works for you. Start today. Identify your top 3 high-value tasks. Focus, execute, and watch your minutes turn into a harvest that lasts a lifetime. Let me share a truth that few understand fully. Wealth doesn't come from the hours you clock in. It comes from the assets that keep working when you're not there. Think about it. Every dollar you earn, trading time for money, disappears the moment you spend it. You trade effort for a paycheck, and when the day ends, so does your income. That's why so many people feel trapped, exhausted, and still short of financial freedom. I've lived this reality myself, grinding away at jobs, thinking that hard work alone would secure my future. But I quickly learned that effort without leverage is temporary. The breakthrough comes when you understand that assets, real income-generating assets, continue to produce whether you're awake, asleep, or on vacation. That is where true freedom begins. Money invested in assets multiplies, compounds, and works for you over time. It turns hours into enduring results, transforming labor into legacy. The strategy is simple, though it requires a shift in thinking. Stop putting all your energy into time for money trades and start redirecting it into creating or acquiring assets that generate income independently of your daily effort. It could be a rental property, a dividend-paying stock, a small business, or a digital product that sells while you sleep. The key is to start small, but start consistently. When I first began, I didn't have large sums to invest, but I made it a habit to take even modest resources and direct them toward things that could work for me without me having to be present. That one habit changed the trajectory of my life. Practical action is what turns philosophy into results. This month, pick one small asset and take your first step. Buy a dividend stock, create a digital product, or find a rental opportunity, even if it's small. The important thing is that it begins to earn while you focus on other things, freeing your time and building compounding growth. The moment you understand that assets work for you long after you've put in the effort, your mindset changes. You stop trading time for money and start multiplying your life through leverage. Remember, wealth isn't measured by hours worked. It's measured by the assets that keep working long after your day ends. Start today and let your money work while you sleep. Let me tell you something that changed the course of my life. Money comes and goes, but skills, real skills, compound over a lifetime. You see, cash can vanish in an instant. An unexpected bill, a bad investment, or inflation can wipe it out, but a skill you master cannot be taken from you. It's portable, it's versatile, and it produces value over and over again. Early in my life, I worked hard, earning every paycheck by trading hours for dollars. Yet I noticed that those who seemed to have more than I did weren't necessarily working longer hours. They were investing in themselves. They were learning, growing, and developing abilities that commanded greater returns in the marketplace. That is the secret. The rich understand that skills are their real investment. And each skill you acquire is like planting a tree that will bear fruit for decades. The strategy is clear. Don't just work for money, work on yourself. Identify skills that the market rewards, skills that can elevate your value, multiply your opportunities, and create leverage in your life. Leadership, communication, sales, investing, problem solving, these are skills that can never be devalued. Early in my career, I committed to learning every day. I spent time reading, listening, practicing, and applying principles that others overlooked. Each day, each small investment in myself added up. It wasn't flashy or immediate, but the compounding effect over years was remarkable. Practical action is what separates knowledge from wealth. Dedicate 30 minutes a day to improving one high-income skill. Perhaps it's reading a chapter on investing, listening to a leadership podcast, or practicing your communication in real conversations. Do it consistently, and over months, you'll see doors open that were invisible before. Skills don't just add value, they create leverage, allowing you to earn more without adding more hours, to influence others, and to build assets that multiply your life. Remember, cash can be lost, but a skill is forever. Invest in yourself today, and let your abilities become the engine that drives your wealth for a lifetime. Let me share a truth that many overlook. Earning more money doesn't automatically make you wealthy. I've seen people make 6 figures, yet live paycheck to paycheck, trapped by habits and impulses that steal their freedom. Wealth isn't about how much comes in, it's about what you keep, what you control, and how wisely you let your money work for you. Financial discipline is the bridge between hard work and true freedom. Without it, no matter how high your income climbs, it slips through your fingers like water. Early in my life, I learned this the hard way. Working long hours, earning what seemed like a lot at the time, only to find that at the end of the month, there was barely anything left to show for it. The lesson was clear. Discipline, not luck or income, builds freedom. The strategy is simple but powerful. Pay yourself first, before the bills, before the weekend indulgences. Set aside a portion of your income to invest in your future. Reinvest your profits. Don't let fleeting pleasures control your financial path. I remember starting small, saving just a fraction of every dollar I earned. It wasn't glamorous. I skipped some luxuries, resisted temptations, and focused on putting that money to work into education, investments, and assets that would grow over time. That discipline, repeated consistently, became the foundation of freedom I enjoy today. Practical action is what turns philosophy into results. Automatically save or invest at least 10% of every dollar before spending anything else. Set up systems that remove the temptation to spend first. Even if you begin with a modest sum, it compounds over time, growing silently and steadily. Small, disciplined actions done consistently outweigh erratic bursts of high income. Each dollar saved, each investment made, reinforces control and creates the freedom to choose your future. Financial discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. When you master it, money becomes your servant, working for you, instead of you working endlessly for money. Start today and let discipline pave the path to your freedom. Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. Relying on a single paycheck is like building a house on one leg. It might stand for a while, but one storm and it collapses. True financial freedom comes when your income flows from multiple sources, each supporting the other. Wealth isn't just about how much you earn in one place. It's about the stability and resilience you create through diversification. I've seen people work tirelessly in high-paying jobs, only to be blindsided by layoffs, health crises, or market shifts. Their time for money model left them vulnerable. The rich, on the other hand, understand that assets can produce income independently, giving them stability while multiplying opportunities for growth. This is the essence of multiple streams. One income supports another, and together they build a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. The strategy is straightforward. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Develop 2, 3, or even 4 income streams that don't require you to trade hours for dollars constantly. Each stream should contribute toward your financial goals, whether it's through investments, royalties, side businesses, or digital products. I remember when I first started exploring other income sources beyond my day job. It was modest at first. Some small projects, some workshops. But over time, each added up. The combined effect created not only additional earnings, but also security and freedom I had never experienced before. Practical action is what converts this philosophy into reality. Launch a side project this month. Invest in a small business, even a micro investment, or create digital content like an online course, ebook, or subscription that can generate sales repeatedly. The key is consistency. Small steps taken regularly compound into a significant stream over time. Each additional income source is a leg supporting your financial house, making it resilient, scalable, and free from the stress of relying solely on one job. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start today. Every small effort toward creating another income stream brings you closer to true financial freedom and the confidence to live life on your own terms. Let me share a truth that most people ignore. Wealth is never created by ideas alone. Dreams without action are just fantasies, floating in the mind without ever touching reality. I've met countless people who plan endlessly, who imagine their perfect financial future in vivid detail. Yet months, or even years, pass and nothing changes. They wait for the right time, the perfect conditions, or just a spark of motivation. Meanwhile, life moves on, opportunities pass, and time, our most precious resource, slips away. The reality is simple. Action turns concepts into cash flow, plans into assets, and visions into legacy. The rich understand this principle profoundly. They know that consistent, deliberate action, even if small, multiplies over time and compounds like interest in a bank account. The strategy is to stop waiting. There is no perfect moment to start. The conditions will never be flawless. What matters is beginning. Take the idea you've been postponing. The one project or investment that keeps bouncing around in your mind, and focus on the first concrete step. It might be a phone call, a purchase, a simple draft, or a short research session. The point isn't to complete the entire journey today, it's to initiate it, to break the barrier between intention and action. I remember sitting at my kitchen table years ago with a notebook full of ideas and no action taken. I chose one, something simple, and executed the first tiny step. That one decision sparked momentum that carried me far beyond what I had imagined at the outset. Here's your practical action. Pick one wealth-building idea you've delayed, and this week, do the very first thing to move it forward. Send that email, make that investment, sketch that plan. It may feel insignificant, but it's the first stone in a structure that can support a lifetime of growth. Wealth begins with the courage to act, not the perfection of the plan. Start, and the rest will follow. Let me tell you something few people grasp. True wealth isn't measured by the numbers in your bank account today. It's measured by what continues after you're gone, the assets, the principles, the financial systems that keep producing value long after your presence fades. Many chase fleeting pleasures, the newest gadget, a bigger car, or a luxurious vacation. But those things vanish as quickly as they arrive. Real wealth, the kind that transforms families and communities, is built to endure. It doesn't just feed you for a month or a year. It feeds generations. That's why the wealthy think beyond themselves. They ask not, what can I enjoy now? But, what will last? What will teach, empower, and provide for those who follow? The strategy is to focus on creation over consumption. Build assets that can work without you, investments that grow over decades, businesses that continue producing, intellectual property that generates royalties. Teach principles that cultivate discipline, decision-making, and foresight in others. If you start today, even modest beginnings compound into legacies. I remember starting with something simple, a small investment account, a few guiding principles written down, a conversation with my children about responsibility and money. It seemed minor at the time, but decades later, that small foundation shaped decisions and opportunities my family could rely on long after I was gone. Your practical step is straightforward. Draft a simple generational plan today. Identify the assets you can build or acquire, the principles you want to instill, and the teachings that will guide those who come after you. Write them down. Share them. Start small, but start deliberate. True wealth is not earned, it is built, nurtured, and passed on. Begin now and create something that lasts far beyond your lifetime. Let's face a truth most people ignore. Income is not a reward for time spent. It's a reward for value created. Too many spend their lives clocking hours, believing that effort alone guarantees wealth. They trade every hour for a fixed paycheck and then wonder why their financial future feels stuck. The reality is simple. Money doesn't flow to the clock watcher. It flows to the problem solver, the creator, the person who makes life easier, faster, or better for others. The richer you become in value, the richer your returns will be. It's a law of life as precise as the laws of nature. I've seen people earn far more by adding a single skill that solved a pressing problem than others earn in years of simply showing up. The strategy is to focus relentlessly on increasing the value you offer. Ask yourself, what problem can I solve that people are willing to pay a premium for? How can I do it better, faster, or smarter than anyone else? It might be in your current work, a side project, or a new venture. But it must be tangible value that someone else sees as indispensable. The wealthy understand that time is finite, but value is limitless. When you invest in your ability to solve meaningful problems, income follows naturally, almost effortlessly, because you've become a person whose contributions cannot be ignored. Here's a practical step you can take right now. Identify one skill, service, or aspect of your work that you can improve this week. Something that directly raises the value you provide. Dedicate your focus, learn the nuance, practice relentlessly. Even small improvements compound over time into opportunities and income that hours alone could never generate. Remember, trading time only earns a living. Creating value builds wealth. Start today by asking, what can I offer that multiplies my impact and in turn multiplies my income? Too many people chase higher incomes as if more money alone will solve their financial challenges. They believe that earning a bigger paycheck is the path to wealth. Yet often, the more they make, the more they spend. True wealth isn't measured by what comes in. It's measured by what you keep and how effectively that money works for you. Every dollar you spend carries a choice. It either builds your future or it funds someone else's. The richer you become, the more conscious you must be of this trade. Wealth isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of control. And that control begins with your expenses. The philosophy is simple. Treat every expense as a decision, as a potential investment or opportunity cost. Ask yourself before spending, does this purchase bring me closer to freedom, or is it a temporary pleasure that steals my future? The rich understand that even modest amounts, when redirected wisely, can grow into powerful assets. It's not about deprivation, it's about purpose. Every dollar that is spent without thought is a soldier sent to work for someone else. Every dollar carefully managed, every expense evaluated, becomes a soldier marching toward your financial goals. Here's a practical step you can take today. For the next 30 days, track every single expense. Write down every coffee, every subscription, every impulse buy. At the end of the month, review the list. Identify at least one recurring expense that isn't building your future and redirect it into an investment, savings, or asset. Even small amounts, applied consistently, begin to compound. This habit transforms money from a fleeting resource into a tool for freedom. Remember, earning more is meaningless if you don't control what you already have. Start by mastering your spending, and you'll unlock the foundation for lasting wealth. Too often, people treat income as a river to be enjoyed in the moment rather than a tool to grow their future. They earn, they spend, and they hope the next paycheck will solve their problems. But wealth isn't created by consumption. It's created by reinvestment. The principle is simple. Money grows when it works for you. Every dollar you allow to sit idly, or every dollar you spend on fleeting pleasures, is a lost opportunity. True financial freedom is achieved when your income becomes a tool to create more income, when your money stops being a servant to immediate desires and starts working on your behalf. The philosophy is clear. Assets, not expenses, produce wealth. The wealthy don't merely collect dollars, they deploy them. They reinvest profits into ventures, stocks, properties, or skills that compound over time. Each reinvestment is like planting a seed in fertile soil, with the understanding that the harvest multiplies far beyond the initial effort. It's a cycle. The more you reinvest, the more your assets grow, and the more your future expands. This is how small, consistent actions become monumental results. Here's a practical step. Every time you receive income, commit a fixed percentage, no matter how modest, to an investment or asset before spending on anything else. It might be a small stock purchase, a contribution to a digital product, or even education that enhances your earning potential. The key is consistency. Make reinvestment a non-negotiable habit, not an afterthought. Over months and years, these choices create a self-perpetuating cycle where your assets generate more assets and your wealth compounds without requiring more hours of labor. Stop letting income slip away into consumption. Start sending your money to work first and watch as it multiplies, quietly building the freedom and financial security you've been striving for. I've found in my own life that wealth begins not in the bank, but in the mind. The richest people I've known didn't necessarily start with the most money, but they invested relentlessly in knowledge. Knowledge compounds faster than money, because while money can be lost, what you learn and understand can produce income repeatedly over and over. Every hour spent improving your financial literacy, every lesson absorbed about investing, leadership, or sales becomes a tool you carry for life. The more you know, the better decisions you make, the faster your assets grow, and the less you are swayed by fear or impulsive choices. The philosophy is simple. Your mind is your most powerful asset. Money will flow to those who know how to make it work, but knowledge empowers you to create opportunities where others see obstacles. The wealthy don't just chase money, they chase understanding. They read, they study, they listen to those who have walked the path before them. They view learning as an investment, one with exponential returns over time. Here's how you can start. Dedicate 15 to 30 minutes every day to a financial or skill-building resource. It might be one chapter of a book, a podcast, or a video lecture. The point isn't to consume everything at once, but to make this a daily habit. Over weeks, months, and years, these small increments of learning compound into insight, intuition, and the ability to spot opportunities others miss. Knowledge turns ideas into action, hesitation into confidence, and plans into profits. The richer your mind becomes, the richer your life can grow. I've learned over the years that relying on a single paycheck is like building a house on one fragile pillar. Life is unpredictable, and a single source of income leaves you vulnerable to setbacks, layoffs, or unexpected expenses. True financial freedom comes not from one steady job, but from developing multiple streams of income, sources that generate money even when you aren't actively trading your hours for dollars. The rich understand this principle intuitively. They don't put all their eggs in one basket. Each new stream of income acts as another leg supporting their financial stability, multiplying opportunity while reducing risk. The philosophy here is clear. Income should work for you, not just be a reflection of how much time you invest. By creating several avenues of cash flow, you protect yourself and position your resources to grow faster. This doesn't mean you have to start a dozen ventures at once. Even one additional stream, carefully nurtured, can dramatically shift your financial landscape over time. I remember when I first started developing side income beyond my primary work. It wasn't easy at the start. There were mistakes, doubts, and small setbacks, but each step added momentum. Within a few years, what started as a small effort became a reliable contributor to my wealth. Here's a practical way to begin. Identify one potential income stream you can start this month. It could be a side business, freelance work, creating a digital product, or investing in a dividend stock. The key is to take the first concrete action. Make that phone call. Write that first piece of content. Open that investment account. Momentum is created by action, and the longer you delay, the more opportunities slip away. Remember, wealth multiplies when you stop trading hours for dollars and start letting your resources work for you. Start building today, even if it's small, and watch how each income stream compounds into lasting freedom. I've discovered that wealth is rarely the result of a single brilliant idea or a stroke of luck. While talent and opportunity can open doors, they are fleeting and unreliable. What truly determines whether a person accumulates lasting wealth is discipline and consistency. The ability to do the small, sometimes mundane things day after day without fail. The rich understand this principle deeply. They aren't necessarily more gifted or luckier, but they commit to disciplined routines that compound over time. Wealth grows quietly, almost imperceptibly, through repeated, focused action rather than dramatic, one-off efforts. Discipline in finances means more than just saving a little money or making occasional investments. It's about building a system where every action serves your future self. I remember early in my career when I made a conscious effort to track every dollar I spent, no matter how small. At first it felt tedious, writing down coffee purchases, bus fares, even small meals, but over months, patterns emerged. I saw where my money was leaking and where I could redirect resources into assets that generated more wealth. That daily habit, maintained consistently, laid the foundation for financial growth that no sudden windfall could have matched. Consistency isn't limited to money alone. It applies to learning, skill building, and expanding value. Dedicate even 30 minutes a day to improving your abilities, and over months, you'll find yourself far ahead of peers who wait for more time or better opportunities. Start with one habit, whether it's tracking expenses, investing, or skill development, and commit to it for at least 90 days. Small actions, repeated faithfully, accumulate into massive results. Wealth is a mirror reflecting the discipline of your choices. Begin today, remain consistent, and watch the quiet, unstoppable power of disciplined action transform your life. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of this conversation, let me leave you with a truth that cannot be overstated. Wealth is not a destination, it is a journey. And every journey begins with deliberate, intentional steps. Too often, people chase after money as if it were a prize dangling just beyond reach, trading their most precious resource, time, for fleeting rewards that vanish as quickly as they arrive. The poor trade hours for dollars, living from paycheck to paycheck, while the rich understand that time invested wisely, skills honed consistently, and assets built patiently create compounding returns that last a lifetime. The difference is not luck. It is a way of thinking, a set of habits, and a philosophy that turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Think about the power of time. Every minute you spend either builds your future or erodes it. You can spend hours on distractions, momentary pleasures, and reactive living, or you can invest your energy in activities that multiply over time, learning, creating, building assets, and nurturing relationships that pay dividends long after the work is done. Time invested in growth compounds faster than money ever could because it is the seed from which everything else springs. Remember, assets work while you sleep. A single productive investment, a skill mastered, or a system put in place can continue to generate wealth long after your daily labor has stopped. That is the principle of leverage, the secret to building a life of freedom rather than constant toil. Discipline and consistency are the twin engines of wealth. It is not the size of your paycheck or the occasional windfall that determines your financial future. It is the habits you practice daily, paying yourself first, tracking every dollar, reinvesting profits, and dedicating time each day to learn and grow. These are the actions that separate the 3% from the 97%. I know from experience how small, steady steps accumulate into transformative results. I began with almost nothing, yet by committing to daily habits of saving, learning, and investing, those modest beginnings became the foundation of financial security and freedom. Every small choice mattered, and each one added to a snowball that rolled into momentum.